Welcome to my channel, SteveO the Window Cleaner. Today we are going to be talking about storefront window cleaning advice. We're not going to really be talking about techniques and tools. I will jump into that just a tiny bit. More what I want to talk about is the overall just advice, especially for if you're just getting into it or if you're into it and you're having some issues with storefront window cleaning. Storefront window cleaning is definitely something that when I talk to a lot of different business owners about it, it's either they love it or they hate it. There's not really a whole lot of in between. But there are some major companies out there where the storefront window cleaning is kind of the core. It kind of holds the whole entire company together in those slow times. I did a video about a month back called Usual Suspects. I call storefront window cleaning usual suspects because they are the most common jobs that you do all the time. They're your repeat jobs, and really they can build a really good core for your company. And then, anything extra on top of it is just extra work that can work out really well for you. So let's jump into it. Number one, when pricing storefronts, always price based on pane count. Do not price based on how fast you think you can get it done. It's very important to have systems in place in what you charge for a certain pane for a storefront. Now, what I would tell you to do, since most storefronts are first floor only, is just create a price for a pane. Now, where you might want to differentiate on is when it is a huge pane, how many panes is that? So what do I mean by that? If you have a super large window pane that you need to clean the top half with a pole or a step ladder, and then you need to get off that step ladder or put that pole down and complete the window by mop and squeegee with your hands, I would count that window as 2 panes. So anything that takes basically 2 steps of washing and squeegeeing, I would count as 2. Now, most storefront window cleaning, you really don't need that for. I find that more in dealerships or just, odd storefronts with huge windows. Sometimes some of the older storefronts, in your kind of like main town stretch, some of those older panes will be a lot bigger, and that's where I'll charge that amount. So let's get into next kind of how I say to price storefronts. So I think the minimum you should be pricing at is $2.50 to $3. That should be the industry minimum overall. Don't ever go less than that. Even if the window is this size, just know that that is a $2.50 window, and then maybe another window that's a little bit bigger than that $2.50 range. You're going to make your money back by the average in between those two, right? So it's just extremely important to keep to your basis on that. Now, if you are starting out, or if you decide that you are going to ladder or use a step ladder on all your storefronts, you have to go higher. You have to go higher in the price so that you have the time to do it and so that the customer gets a good job and you feel good about it. So if you're using a step ladder, price for that. If I was using a step ladder on all storefronts, I would price those storefronts at what I do for residential, which at minimum is $5. So just kind of think about that when you're looking at storefronts. Really, your prices should be in the range of anywhere from $2.50 to $3. I think in the next 2 years, I think there's definitely going to be more of a move to like even $4. As insurance goes up, as the cost of just running a company goes up, those prices go up. And it is really important to update your prices every year or every 2 years as you see fit. Now, for the third point, let's touch a little bit on the tools. Keep your tools basic. What I would suggest is when you're having employees clean windows on storefronts, have them have an 18-inch squeegee, a 14-inch squeegee, and a 6-inch squeegee. The 18 and 14 are mostly for the glass. The 6-inch is mostly to clean the frames. Okay? Teach them how to use a pole. That is extremely important. That will increase your efficiency, and it also is safer, and it can have great results. I mean, there's tons of window cleaners out there, and a person with just about 3 months of experience can usually clean a storefront very well with just a pole. So keep your tools basic. They don't have to be crazy. I know a lot of us, we use, the Mormon accelerators. We have a lot of crazy tools. That's because we kind of take it, and I say us as in, some of these people on YouTube that, show videos of them cleaning windows, and, but it's important to keep it basic, because a lot of people are not going to enter window cleaning thinking that this is their career. You want to train them on the basics, and once they have the basics down, then it's kind of up to them whether or not they want to move on with learning more skills and all that good stuff. But you can really be a good storefront window cleaner with just knowing the basics. So keep it simple. For scheduling storefronts, this moves into our fourth point. Restaurants, of course, are always going to be in the morning. Usually restaurants or just really any place except for breakfast places, right? They open at 11. So you want to make sure to get all your restaurants done before 11. Another good time to do restaurants is from like 2 to 4. Usually some restaurants won't be as packed. Sometimes you have restaurants like we have tons of bagels restaurants we do. They're just open pretty much all day. So it's figuring out when is the good time to get in there. Either get in there right when they open or get there right before they close, do the inside, then do the outside. I think that's a good thing to do. As far as other businesses, say, just your normal storefronts, let's say like laundry stores, liquor stores, just anything storefront, you can usually do it anytime. Just, if when signing up the customer, just ask them, hey, are there any times you wouldn't like me to be here? Or are there any times that are best? Now, the important thing, though, is to not allow them to control your schedule. I have an account right now that I am teetering with firing them because they want us there between 9 and 10. And every single time that I email this customer and tell them, hey, we're going to be there a day earlier or a day later, they get very frustrated, and it's got to the point where I'm this close to just firing them. It's not really worth my money. It's not worth my time. With storefront window cleaning, this is kind of a side point. You can find that, or I would say it this way, always look at things and kind of reevaluate them and kind of see if it's really working for you. What I find sometimes is I'll give a storefront a price, and then all of a sudden they say they were a new store, and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of stuff being added in front of these windows. It happens all the time, especially when you get into a new store and they constantly grow and stuff like that. You need to up the price, right? So that kind of goes into that. Like sometimes we include I know a lot of people consider like dealerships and stuff like that just commercial. We intertwine that with our storefronts, usually on routes. So, dealerships and stuff, I would just say don't do those on like a Friday or Saturday, right? Or if you're going to be on there Friday, be there early morning. If you're going to be there Saturday, be there early morning, as far as that stuff goes. But most storefronts, I would say too, get them done Monday through Friday. I know there's a lot of guys who will go out in the morning, get a bunch of outsides done with water-fed pole, come back, do the inside later on. You really just have to decide what works for you as far as scheduling. But really the most important thing and the really only time constraint is restaurants. Getting a key to get into restaurants could be highly beneficial to you. You do run the risk of losing that key, but I don't see that being a huge issue, right? I mean, what do? They buy another key. It's not like they don't have extras. So I know Luke does that a lot. They get the keys for places, and I think that's super smart. We actually don't do that. We usually just start restaurants at 8 and just kind of have them scheduled out so that it always works out. Number 5. Try to get into not signing invoices after every storefront job. Basically, that means, you complete the job, you have an invoice, and you go to the customer and you say, okay, can you sign this so that it shows that I completed the job today? Now, if you're a larger company, you have tons of employees, I could see that being very beneficial because they're not going to see the same person there all the time. If you're a smaller business, you have the same 3 or 4 people going in. They see those same 3 or 4 people. They get used to those same 3 or 4 people. What I would say is get them used to a system where you're just billing them after that work is complete that day. You could do that with a lot of different CRMs. With like Jobber, you can just go in right away, invoice them, have it all done right then and there. I also do it with QuickBooks. You can go in at night, invoice all your customers, and just have it done there. I think that is a lot better way to do it because your efficiency gets better and that you're not wasting the time going inside, getting that signature, going back out in the van, then getting ready to go. You can just complete the job, pack up, go to your next job. Over a year, that is going to save you a lot of time and actually make you more money, I think, because it's really easy to come home and do all that billing. I know that when I was with Fish, every time you complete a job, the customer signs an invoice. There'd be some times where I was waiting for the customer up to 10 minutes. That adds up through time. So I'd highly, highly encourage you just to get away from that if you can. If your business, idea as far as that, you don't like that idea, I can totally get it. I can totally get it. More people are paranoid than we are as far as that kind of stuff goes. If you have a bad customer where you're having troubles with them saying, well, I didn't see someone here, then you got to deal with it as you got to deal with it. Point number 6, obtaining new customers. It's all about repetition for storefronts, okay? So every time, as much as I try, in the summer I get lazy about it. When it's really busy, I get lazy about it. But whenever you have time and say you're collecting some cash or you're collecting something from a customer, have either the person you're working with or have some extra cards and always be handing out cards. Always. Even if you can't get them a price that day, hand out cards constantly. You will get customers that way. You'll get a customer 6 months from the time that you pass out a card. But always be thinking about getting new customers. The one thing about storefront window cleaning is it's a forever revolving door. It just circles like this. You will get fired from jobs for no reason. You will lose jobs because managers switch and one manager doesn't like the idea that the other manager liked. You'll lose customers over funding for that kind of work being done. You can lose windows. You can lose jobs over the stupidest of things. We recently had a job where literally we are possibly going to lose it because their nanny got fired and any longer because their nanny cannot schedule us and this person has to deal with it now. That's too much for them. So because they lost their nanny, we're most likely going to lose the job. It's the stupidest thing. It's crazy to me. So just know that you're always going to be having to get new customers for storefronts. Businesses close, restaurants close. I mean, recently around our area, tons and tons of restaurants have closed. We lost a huge job last year, and it wasn't because of the service. It was just because of that owner knew someone starting a window cleaning business. You just lose stuff over the dumbest things. I go on and on about that, but it will bore you. Most important thing to do is really get them a price in front of them and to get them an amount and then call back. I suggest, especially if you're new and you're beginning your business, call within like 24 hours. If they don't do that, I would call within a week. After a week, if they haven't signed up, I'd call them within a month, call them within 3 months, call within 6 months, call within a year. Just set up like a schedule of how to call them back. And I think that is the most important thing. That's really how you're going to build a storefront route. Once you get your storefront routes established, it's just kind of growing from the areas that you're at. Don't ever get scattered with your storefronts. When you're bidding, do not pick and choose the storefronts you want unless you just see a storefront and you're like, I really don't want to do that. But it will impress you. Do the hard ones because that will make everything a lot easier. So whenever you're walking around doing your cold call sales or passing out cards, just go down the line. Don't skip. Don't choose. That will be a waste of time and overall, just won't be efficient for you. My last point that I'd like to talk about is what should kind of be the average amount that one should be doing when storefront window cleaning. At the beginning, it's going to be really hard for someone to do even like $150 to $200 by themselves. They're going to have a really hard time with it. You're probably going to lose money on that employee for a little bit, but it's just good to know that it just takes about, I think, a month to 2 months for an employee to start getting it to where they can get up to like $350. Now, if you're finding at like 4 months, they're still not getting above that, that's the time to talk, see what they're doing wrong, maybe go out with them, watch them clean, see if they're doing too much. I know that was one of my issues. I just did too much and I didn't need to do all that. I could do a lot less and have it still be really, really good. And that helped me a lot. Now, when they're not doing enough, that's when it gets a little bit hard and tough, but that's just something you're really going to have to be black and white on and have really good systems and have really good basic training to make sure they're doing enough. Now, I would say the average that someone's going to do by themselves in a storefront window cleaning, around 6 months is hopefully around $350 in a day. But where you want to get to is definitely doing $400 to $500 a day in storefronts by yourself. If you're with someone else, you definitely want to be doing like $1,000 a day. That's extremely, extremely important. I think with today's prices, you could definitely do that. I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't be able to. But I would definitely say shoot for those averages with storefront window cleaning. Some things that can hurt you is having too many people on storefronts. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. That can hurt you. Almost the best way to make money on storefronts is have people go out by themselves. There's not a lot of wasted time. They know that the pressure is on them to complete that storefront. So I think that is the most efficient way to make money if you're a business owner doing storefront. And if you're even by yourself doing storefronts, that is the most efficient way, right? You don't want to have to pay someone if you don't. But at the same time, if your goal is to get out of the storefront window cleaning and to get out of window cleaning and just do the sales, that in the long term is going to make you way more money than you staying on the glass. So if you can get the sales down, you can get the systems down, you can get your billing down, you can get the scheduling down, and you can get out of that, that is going to be really your main thing to do. I know for me, I have really been thinking that way a lot more over the last 6 months of, okay, how do we get this to where we can just be, us owners, be full-time sales, be full-time bidding, all that stuff, and just get workers to be doing this stuff. And I think that is where you want to go with it if you want to make a good amount of money. And just being extremely efficient, but you starting out, cleaning the windows, understanding it, is going to be able to give the best ability for you to write out those systems and to make sure that everything flows very nicely. Keep everything black and white. Have no gray areas. Be very, very sure of what you're doing. And, storefront window cleaning is probably some of the easiest window cleaning. To me, I love it. I love storefront window cleaning and commercial building window cleaning more than anything else. Residential to me is okay. I just find, customers are picky. Usually with commercial and storefront, they're not as picky. And yeah. So I've kind of gone into a lot here. I'll shut it down as far as what we've talked about today. But if you have any questions about storefront or you have something to add, please comment below. Don't be scared by storefronts. It can be a very profitable thing, but it really is up to you as far as what you want your business to do and how to grow and what works out best for you. So that is it. I also have in the description, a lot of people ask me about how to start a window cleaning business or what tools do I need. I wrote a couple articles with oh my gosh. I didn't write them, but a very nice lady, I forget her name, spoke to me for a long time on the phone and wrote some really, really great articles that can be of huge help. I will link those in the description if you have any questions about that stuff. And that's about it for today, but you all have a good day. Bye-bye.